Hey guys, I'm going to show you how to use Davigedit so you can create custom maps for the prototype build of Davigo, which is available to Earthbreakers and above on Patreon. For this tutorial, I'm going to assume you know the basics of Unity and how to install it, but regardless, I'm going to go through it real quickly. If you need help on how to use Unity, you can check their learning library, which will be available in the description of this video. So to start, let's go ahead and download Unity Hub. Just click this button here, and it'll set up in the bottom here. Just wait for that to download and click on it, install it. Once you're done installing it, just launch it. Make sure that you sign in and renew your certificate or create an account if you haven't already. Navigate down here to installs and click add. Then select Unity 2019.4 LTS, which stands for long-term support. And this is the current version that Davigedit is running on. So just click next and install it. I already have it installed, so I'm not going to go do that. And then we can go ahead and select new here. And let's name it Davigo Mapping Tutorial. Just for the sake of this video, and make sure 3D is selected. Go ahead and click create and wait for it to load up. Okay, it looks like it's loaded up, so now we can download Davigedit itself. And all you're going to want to do is make sure that you're joining the Discord server for Davigo, the official Davigo Discord server. You're going to scroll down here to Community Content, Custom Maps FAQ, and this is where all the information on Davigedit is. So you can go ahead and read through the README if you want, but you're going to want to download this thing that says Download Davigedit Unity Package Initial Release, and it might say D, or later on it'll probably be an updated version. Anyhow, you're just going to click that link. It'll load up a Google Drive page, and then just click download. Alright, and then it will download for you. Go ahead and close out of Google Chrome. You don't need that. And now what we're going to have to do is take this file here, the Davigedit package that we just downloaded. We want to double click it, and it'll open up Unity again. And it'll pull up this window here. It'll have all the stuff that's inside of the package. You're just going to want to push import, and then everything will start loading up and importing. Just select OK when it's done. And it'll say all changes changed, or all settings changed, ready to go. Just click OK. And then we have it. We have now officially imported Davigedit into Davigo, and now all we have to do is learn how to use it. So what we're going to want to do first is let's just check out the sample scene real quick, which is in Davigo Davigedit package and sample. Then click on this here. This is a scene icon for Unity. We have here a whole bunch of birds. We have a block made of wood, a custom body. We have a giant D, some rocks, more birds. Okay, and we have all these up rocks, the cannons, and here is where the giant will spawn. And every time the giant presses the button to reposition himself, this is where he will end up every single time. This is where the warrior will spawn. So every time the warrior dies, they will respawn here, and they will also start here. And the rest of it's fairly explanatory if you've played Davigo before. Of course, we can go ahead and move stuff around if we want to. Using these tools here up in the corner, we can just kind of select stuff, move around. We can move objects. We can rotate objects if we want. We could scale them up or make them all weird and stuff. How about we just go and make our own custom map now without this whole scene here. We can just start from scratch. So what I like to do is have in my scenes folder, put all my scenes in. So just name it Davigo map. You're going to want to name this after what you want your map's name to be in the Davigo game itself. Save all my stuff here, might as well. And make sure you select OK for when it wants to change the lighting. Go ahead and delete the main camera because we don't actually need that. Then really we just want to set up all the basics. And of course, for the basics, we're going to need actual ground to play on. So I'm just going to create a cube here and scale it around. To create objects, you just right-click in the hierarchy, put a 3D object, and then you have all these stuff you can choose from. So I just chose a cube and I'm resizing it so that it's like an actual playing area. Ideally, it's going to want to be more varied than this, not just a rectangle. But we're just going to make a quick map here. So I'm not going to put too much detail into it, too much thought. After that, we're going to want to go to Davigedit, Package, Prefabs. And these three are the ones that you have to have, no matter what, put into your game. So I'll just put in the warrior start position by just dragging it onto there. And I'll do the same thing with the giant position. And we're going to want to make sure that it's positioned in a decent orientation. Might resize this because it's pretty small. Giant can reach across there pretty easily, right? Put the warrior, put him in the back corner here just so the giant can't get him immediately. And yeah, so make sure you rotate giant in a comfortable fashion. You can play around with it once you build your map. And move all this around. It doesn't have to be set in stone the first time. So next we're going to want to put down the kill zone. The kill zone basically sets up this entire box you can see. And that indicates when the warrior will die when he's thrown or he falls off or whatever happens. So I like to set this up by going into the Isometric View, which is by clicking this box here. And then clicking one of the arrows and zooming out with the scroll wheel. This lets us see the entire box, and we can go ahead and center it along the axes here for reference. And it looks pretty centered there, so we can go over here and then check the other axes. And it pretty much looks like everything's centered correctly. You can exit out of Isometric View, go back into perspective, and scroll back down to our thing here, our entire map. And there we go. Now technically we could just export this and use this as a map. But it's not too fun. There's nothing really to do, right? So let's, first of all, just put some textures on it, make it look pretty. You're going to want to go to Davigedit, Common, Materials, Level, and here we have the Grid Cliff shader. And what this does is it textures pretty much any mesh so that it's green on the top and then brown on the sides and the bottom. You can see it change depending on which orientation we have it in. Go back up here, it'll be green on here and brown on the sides. Control Z, you can undo that. And you can rotate it and all the checkerboards will stay in the same place. Kind of a cool effect. Or if you really want to, you can put some stone on it instead, but I prefer the cliff. After that, we're going to want to go to Davigedit, Package, Prefabs, and Placeables, and this is where all the fun stuff is, right? So we're going to put down a couple trees, just in random places. You're probably going to want to think of some kind of formation so that the giant has some sort of disadvantage in the environment, but not too disadvantaged. So what I just did was I dragged down the cannon here and I just repositioned it so the button is on here. If you place the button too high like this, the warrior will have to jump to get on top of it, which is kind of inconvenient. And I'd rather have it to where the warrior can just run across it without having to jump. So just set that up, and you can even take this cannon hole and you can place it somewhere else. So, for example, I'll just place it over here. I'll do right in the front here. You can even take it out of the ground and I don't know, all this cool stuff, but I'm not going to do that. So yeah, there's the cannons, these rocket spawners. This is how the warrior gets his ammunition. So we're going to want to place quite a few of these around in slightly inconvenient spots for the warrior so that the giant has an advantage over him in that sense. So you can see this one closer to him. It's sort of a risk for the giant to go get it, or the warrior to go get it, sorry. And the giant can just grab the warrior and toss him, whatever. So yeah, and these ones are closer to the edge, so warrior's at a risk of being hit off by the giant with a rock or something. And speaking of rocks, let's go ahead and set up these ones. These slanted ones are the ones that can be uprooted from the ground. So what I like to do is have just a couple of them laying in the ground and looking all neat and atmospheric. You can push Control D and then duplicate them. And that. We've got a couple of rocks laying around now. Also, you'll see most maps have them like embedded into the front ground right here. Most of my maps do. And you can just push Control D and put them there, and then they're there for the giant to grab, and he can just go ahead and take those. You're gonna want to make sure the cannon probably shouldn't be this close to the giant, to be honest with you, because it's kind of unfair. I'm actually gonna move that back over here or something just to prove that it doesn't need to be super close. I'm gonna move the tree just in case it obstructs. Probably put it into the ground a bit more. I like the trees when they're a bit smaller and you can't see them physically disattached from the ground when they're being uprooted, but you can do. So there's that. Let's go ahead and place some of these large rocks around. Give them some rotation so they don't look so uniform. Put a couple small ones about. You can even build a tiny little house. I know one time I built an entire house out of rocks as the giant with my friend as the warrior. It was a weird, fun time. Let's not even build a house, let's just build a wall, I guess. Right, and yeah. After this is done, obviously you're gonna want to place some birds. Birds are very important. They're probably the most important place of this entire package, to be honest with you. I'm just gonna set a few of them down. I don't know. I'll just put them in random places. Might as well. Set them right on top of this rock here. Cool. And I think that's about it, right? So, I'm actually going to showcase real quick. You can just add more cubes and stuff if you don't want to import a mesh from Blender. You can always just, use the primitive shapes here and design something. I'm sure you can still design something pretty cool if you don't want to go and learn 3D modeling. We'll make this into stone, and you can see it through the bottom here, which is not super cool. I'll put it up here, and you know what? We'll just move this rocket up here too. Okay, cool. Alright, and yeah, so that's that. Everything looks pretty good. So let's go up here to Davigedit and export map. And at that point, we're pretty much done. So let's go test it out in Davigo. Alright, so here we are in Davigo. Let's move over here to custom. And again, this only works on the Patreon builds. So, oh, hang on, I forgot what I named it. Davigo map. Right here. That would be the map right here. And you can go ahead and do all your settings if you want, and then just push Davigo. It'll load, we can start the game. And yeah, this is our map. That's my VR headset right there, that's why the giant is looking weird, but... And yeah, we can go ahead and shoot him, we can run around. Oops. Let's scare off that bird right there, right? And there it goes. Now we can go and collect these.